Ladies and gentlemen, to moderate this session, we're delighted to have Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, CII. I'd like to request him to please come up on stage. Will our panelists also please join us on stage as I introduce you? Ms. Suchita Oswal Jain, Vice Chairman and Joint Managing Director, Vardhman Textiles. Please welcome Mr. Prakash Hinduja, Chairman, Hinduja Group, Europe. Also, a very warm welcome to Mr. PRS Oberoi, Executive Chairman, East India Hotels. Mr. Rakesh Bharati Mittal, Vice Chairman, Bharati Enterprises. Please welcome Mr. Uday Kotak, Managing Director and CEO, Kotak Mahindra Bank Limited. And Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, Chairman, Hero Enterprise. Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, over now to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chief Minister. We had a great start. We heard the Chief Minister really talk from the heart, so to say, as to how he is controlling and managing this great state of Punjab. A lot of positives came out on what is being done in the state, what are the natural advantages that the state have, and what's been done over the last few years to see this becomes a very progressive, this becomes one of the leading states of India. Actually, the story of India really lies in the states of India. As we will move along, it's going to be the states of India which is going to make or break India. It's going to be the states really is the ones which will be progressive, will really lead to what we see as the next level of economic engagement and activities. This panel, we have 45 minutes, six strong panelists. We have definitely what is always in short supply, and that is time. And having said that, what I'll do is I'll try and reserve my comments to that much, so see how much we can get the most out of the panelists in a mode of a conversation rather than speeches. And we had a great example-setting session which has just started off by the Honorable Chief Minister, where he engaged in a conversation, no speeches. So that was a fantastic start. And let's see if we can follow that pattern in this very, very august panel in a conversation mode. As I go along, I, of course, will introduce the panelists, which really doesn't really need much of an introduction to this audience. But as you can see, there are sons of soil, very, 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 very strong sons of soils, present and daughter of the soil, present here in the panel, people who have really created value for this land, and people who are creating value in the nation. But I'd like to really start, not in any particular order, but maybe I'll go straight right at the end over there to Mr. Sunil Munjal and kick off. 50,000 crores is what we have heard has come into the state in form of investment in the last couple of years or so. And you have been, as one knows, a very quiet investor into the state. But one question to you is, many of you people seated in the audience, as one can see, people seated on the dais, have started in a modest way, huge enterprise, state known for enterprise, have become big industry in India, but they have become big industry in India. But are you a big industry? Are there big industries in Punjab? And how do you create that? You are so much full of enterprise. You succeed wherever you go. But how can you make success in Punjab and bring back your strengths into Punjab?
So I have to tell you one thing about Punjabis. They're natural entrepreneurs. If there's an unskilled Punjabi, he or she wants to do a semi-skilled job. A semi-skilled Punjabi wants to do a highly skilled job. A highly skilled Punjabi wants to be an entrepreneur. They don't like to work for others. So entrepreneurship kind of almost genetic here. But you actually hit the nail on its head when you said scale is an issue. We have lots and lots of small industries here, and we have lots of small farms, as we heard from the Chief Minister. I think the challenge that we face here is how do you continue this growth over a sustained period of time to build global scale enterprises to be able to fully get advantage of that scale. And we have had our challenges in Punjab because of that period of difficult period of violence and terrorism. It set us back actually a few decades. This was the leading state in the country for a long time, and we slipped. And what we are doing right now is actually pretty impressive in terms of managing resources, water, looking at policies which will both encourage existing businesses as also attract new investment. And I think that's the very purpose of this enterprise today. And you're right, we don't like to make announcements of what we do. I was actually blamed and accused of not doing enough in Punjab, and I shared with one of the senior Punjab bureaucrats recently, and she told me that you must come and tell people what it is you do. So I said, I'm sorry, as a policy, we do not announce what we do, but we have set up multiple enterprises in the last, just in the last few years itself. And I think the investment would be in a few thousand crores. It's about 3,000 crores of investment, which has come in, but we do prefer not to make announcements. If it does, I am actually telling people right now that we are doing it. And because I do think this is a wonderful place to work in. It has an interesting way of the way people behave with each other. We've also had very little labor unrest, unlike most of the states in the country. So there are some inherent advantages to working here, and we benefited from it tremendously. Even when we went out and did additional businesses outside of Punjab, we carried the same ethos, philosophy, and culture with us of the business that we learned and we did here in Punjab. When we do global enterprises now, we still carry some of the same ethos with us, whether you're working in the UK or in Africa or in North America. So there is something to be said for working here, and I'm glad we are now actively going out and telling people about what's going on and what the opportunities are. Because it is an amazing state in terms of how it works and how it consumes. And that's what business needs.
Right, thank you. Thank you. That gives me a good... Punjab has been a very strong agricultural state. And what role do you think industry, instead of really putting out from the state, and what have you been doing, putting out the raw materials out of the state, but also really processing and agro-processing, so to say, and create that type of value add in the state?
Pick up from what the Honorable Chief Minister was sharing with us. Punjab being an agrarian state, I think the farmers really know what they need to grow and where they can make money. My view is the time has come now to move that to a very different level. I think the traditional way of doing agriculture has to go behind us. As the land holdings are shrinking, productivity is taking a hit, and I think that is where we need to infuse new farm technologies, new ways of research programs. And I'm very happy and thankful to the Honorable Chief Minister who actually gave us the 300 acres of land in Ludhiana where we started our research program and have grown the program of exporting baby corn to the world from within the country, from different agroclimatic zones. But having said that, I think also Punjab has been taking the lead. Punjab was the first state to legislate lease of agriculture land for long tenure basis to the private sector. As a matter of fact, to anyone for that matter. The problem is that there are today regulations which inhibit you to deal with the farmers directly. And I think if those things can be taken care of, and Punjab must take lead on that, I'm absolutely sure there will be more private investment coming into agriculture. The second is, how do we take agriculture to agribusiness? And that is where the food processing is a huge opportunity which is knocking at our doors. And I believe Punjab is best suited for that, given that we are growing all different kinds of vegetables and fruits. Clearly, the processing is something which will bring a value add and also ensure that the farmers start getting higher income. I think these are the areas where I believe the government must focus and invite the private sector. One of the things, sir, which you were talking about, the wheat and rice problem on storage, I've been personally pushing this with the central government and Minister of Agriculture. Why should the private sector not be brought in to procure, store, and distribute grains for the PDS all across the country? And I think that is what will bring storage facilities across the country, which is only in Punjab and Haryana. That will solve lower logistics, and I can actually tell you that there will be at least 25–30% savings what FCI spends today. So I think we need to now incentivize private sector and bring them and engage them into a bigger role of agriculture, food processing, and to ensure that the farmers start getting the deal.
Thank you for that, for those marks. But I'd like to go to another daughter of soil, so to say. And I'll tell you why am I coming to here. I just covered two of them, and you who have been engaged and been doing business in Punjab. And one of the areas which the Honorable Chief Minister spoke about was about women and women empowerment, and how women have been really facilitated to grow in the state in terms of also not just protect them, but really empower them. You have been a woman entrepreneur, second generation, and you have functioned in the state, though you have invested outside of the state. What experience do you bring in that you can talk to this audience about the state in a way you have grown in the state yourself and of course your company? But as a woman entrepreneur, how do you see more women entrepreneur actually flourishing in the state? And women is a huge strong point of Punjab.
Yeah. So in Vardhman, of course, everybody knows that we are in textiles and in steel, and we have large interests in yarn, in fabrics, in sewing thread, and also in steel business. As the question you've asked about women, yes, we have seen a lot of women growth and development, not only in the office space, but also in the factory space. You'll be very happy to know that 35% of the workforce which we employ in the state, in the factories, is of the women power. So this is how we have really developed the women workforce who are so committed in the state by providing them housing and facilities within our campus and encouraging them to come and work for us. I feel, as a woman, I feel very happy to be in this state. We have been in the state for over 50 years now. I'm the third generation, right. The destroyer, as they say. But we are very happy that Punjab today provides us great infrastructure, power, very good work culture, and that is how we have progressed as Vardhman today stands over 9,000 crore turnover. And this is how the textile industry from here originated 50 years back. And we have grown, of course, in other states. But today, our corporate office is still in Ludhiana. We are a very much Punjab-based group and remain to be here. And having interests in other industries, like even in steel now, we have seen, as Honorable Ambassador has said, that Aichi Steel has now invested in one of our steel companies. And we are very honored for that. And we are happy to have this kind of investment. Coming to your question of the women, I feel I have had a great platform, I have had a great opportunity, and I encourage women entrepreneurs in the state to come up. I do see a lot many more women in Ludhiana, Jalandhar, Phagwara, in many other areas in Punjab. They feel happy, they have the entrepreneurship. Punjab is a state where there is natural entrepreneurship. There is a natural bloodline where women want to come up and do things. They want to progress, they want to move ahead in life. And that is why I feel we also encourage in our office and in our factories to employ more women. And I honestly feel that the women feel very safe when they come to work, because we want to provide them a good ambience, a good culture, a very safe, protective environment in Vardhman. So I'm very happy as a woman to be part of the family business and to be part of the state in Punjab.
Thanks, Shruta, for those remarks. Now, I really have collected a few points for just come from the three of our speakers, and which really talks about the enterprise and the culture, the work culture, and the spirit that Punjab has. The small and the medium scale enterprise was talked about. It requires a lot. I mean, the lifeline of them is, of course, finance, and Uday Kotak, Uday have been actually functioning quite a bit in the north part of the country, and especially in Punjab. A lot of your customers here. What do you see? How do you see the competitiveness of the small and the medium enterprises in Punjab, especially? And what is it that that you have the presence of the Honorable Chief Minister? Something that you would like to ask from him or from the government, or what do you see to be some of the positive spirits that that come out of the state, which enables you to have such a strong customer base even in this part of the country?
Thank you, Chandrajit. First of all, I was very enthused by some of the Chief Minister's comments, specifically that stability of policy is extremely important across governments and change of governments. At a time in India when we are finding that is a big question in some other states in the country, this kind of a reassurance coming from the Chief Minister is very, very useful. First, a report card on Kotak Mahindra Bank, sir. Our lending in the state of Punjab is 150% of our deposits. That means the deposits we take from the state of Punjab, for every 100 rupees, we are giving back in terms of lending in the state of Punjab, which is 150 rupees, which means deposits from other states which we get are being deployed in the state of Punjab, and that is something which I'm extremely delighted about. And I think the question which was asked was about competitiveness of Punjab in the context of competitive states, and I think about it like a company. There are two strategic things which one thinks about from a competitiveness point of view. First is, how does one differentiate a company or a state vis-a-vis the others? And the second is, how do we make less mistakes than the others, so over time there's a much greater confidence for investors and companies to come into the state of Punjab. In terms of differentiation, sir, I think what we really do believe is a peaceful labor force, a commitment to having less violence. These are the kind of things which are extremely important for the state. And your core competitive strengths, whether it's food processing, I think auto ancillary, which you have depended on for a long time, may be going in for some structural change, and you may want to think about, if the growth of that industry is not going to be as rapid as it was in the past, what is it that we can do differently? I'm not saying it is not, but should it change structurally in view of some consumer behavior changes? And auto ancillary is a big industry in Punjab. What else can we do to differentiate ourselves? I think any state for the future will have to be at the cutting edge of digital technology and artificial intelligence, and will need significant investment in that ahead of the curve. So that's something which I would strongly request the state of Punjab to get into cutting edge. And in terms of not making mistakes which others make, one of the things which investors love is a state which is consistent in its policies, which does not fool around, does not change taxes, doesn't change rules of the game after somebody has invested, whether it's a state or a country. Extremely important. And I do hope that under your leadership and for the future, Punjab becomes or continues to be that stable state which investors can depend on. I was recently talking to a few very large Canadian institutional investors who become very big in India. And the kind of connection, sir, you have with Canada is awesome. And I know there are many other parts of the world as well which have the Punjabi connection, because Punjabis with their enterprise are everywhere in the world. Therefore, investors should be more and more invited. to come in. And I do believe that a few more visits from you to Mumbai also will help. And lastly, sir, on the whole SME question which Chandrajit you asked. Sir, if you look at Europe, Germany as a country has differentiated and stood out in the United States of Europe. And backbone of Germany has been SME. And it has just built the entire German enterprise, which is one of the most competitive nations in the world. And learnings from a country like Germany within Europe could be some examples for the state of Punjab to see whether it can really emulate. With that, I'm really delighted to be here, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Uday, and you really brought in this very important point of policy predictability as well as stability, and you brought in the global perspective, and therefore I'll be turning to Mr. Prakash Hinduja. I don't have to introduce the Hinduja group here. Mr. Prakash Hinduja, who have spread all across the world and also in India. So what will make you come into Punjab in a big way now? You've come here, that's great, but we need your businesses to come here. And what is it, some of the positives that you've seen in Punjab, which has actually been interested? You were talking a little while back, the type of progressiveness that you see in Punjab. So what are those couple of things that is drawing you in here, and when do we see more of the Hinduja group into Punjab? It's on. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's a woman empowerment. Huh? Well, I would like to thank you very much, the Chief Minister, who had been very kind to invite me this time to the progressive Punjab state. And when I arrived over here, I was very impressed to see that so much progress has taken place after my last visit several years ago. And I had a pleasure of meeting several ministers and the Chief Minister over here. And our group is already present here in Punjab for many years, which many of them must not be aware about this, but our presence and the growth has been tremendously since the day we have invested over here. And we have been always committed to Punjab because we believe Punjab is a country which gives protein to the human being. And then what is this protein which everybody eats? That's chapati, wheat. The best wheat you can get in India is in Punjab. The best of the rice you get is in the Punjab. And the best brains, which the world recognizes that Punjab has been successful in Canada, it has been successful in UK, and all the NRIs who have been in Punjab, there was a valuation which was made about their success stories are worth $300 billion, which have been all around the world, who have been so successfully shown that how efficient and their literacy and their intelligence, like my friend Mr. Bhanga, everybody knows. Mr. Ajay Bhanga is one of the top leaders in the MasterCard in US, has done similarly, there are many more examples I could give. But I would say that the NRIs, the success of Punjab can become much more if the government gives the welcome to the non-residents Indians to come and give them the incentives of investment in Punjab. It can be a next paradise in Punjab. I would also request that Hinduja family, which has been spreading their investments all around the world, we have been successfully investing in India now for last 50 years now. We have created different examples, different success stories, and we have been always looking into different states to see where the opportunities are there, and we try to grow in this matter. For example, the pollution issue, you must have read, everybody, this morning, which I was in the newspaper, which was my concern, that how the pollution can be removed from Punjab and get into the problems in Delhi and other part of the world. So this was my top priority, and I'm glad that I will able to find a great solution for this, to see that best technology can be brought from either from the United States or from Israel or from Japan or from other part of the world, to see that this problem is solved. And we should give everybody, we citizens of India should focus on that and try to find out a way out. And especially the CII. I would request the CII that all the Indian industrialists should every day at least focus at least for half an hour, not more than that. Think about Punjab, think about the pollution, that how the agriculture, this solution of this harvest can be solved. Then only the problem can be solved. This is not a problem of Punjab. This is a problem of all India. So we should see that in Delhi being the capital of India, and we have so many people coming all around the world, and what happened last month, it was something, I mean to say, many of them were not able to come to fly to Delhi just because of the pollution on this matter. Hinduja Group has been very, very successful in investing in India, and not in India, but we are a global family. Being a global family, we have been encouraging to bring in new technologies to India, which many of them may not be aware about this, as we always like to do things very discreetly and bring a success to all around the world, and bring more and more encouragement and to the new generations, so that the new generation can play a very important role in Punjab. And they, because of this drugs problem which is happening, if the new generations are getting jobs, they are employed, they are able to focus their mind on the different areas of high tech, it can be a great success story. I would like to thank you again to Punjab and to all our dear friends who have been over here from India, and I hope that everybody will concentrate and focus on the Chief Minister's efforts which he has done. And very rarely you find such a great Chief Minister in India who has done so much for Punjab, and he will do more for it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hinduja. And one of the things that you raised was the issue of employment, and how do we get more and more people, how do we see employment will be, of course, and is a very, very important issue. And in that, I would like to turn to Mr. Oberoi, yourself. You represent an industry, you're of course a doyen in that industry, which can be the biggest provider of employment and tourism. And Punjab, of course, has a phenomenal strength on tourism. And in itself, the Golden Temple attracts more than 125,000 people every day. So what a fantastic infrastructure to have. So what do you think that Punjab could do, and some of the things I'm sure you are noticing in seeing how the tourism culture, which could be such a huge employment generator, can be enhanced in this state, and what's really happening here as far as you are seeing from your lens, which is of such great value to this audience, and of course the government over here.
Thank you. Most people don't know that traveling tourism industry.
You might near yourself, please, if you can.
Most people don't know that the travel and tourism industry is the largest industry in the world. It also employs a large number of people. And that should be the aim of Punjab, is to develop tourism. How do you develop tourism? The people of Punjab are the most welcoming people I know. I've met Punjabis all over the world. Why don't they invest in tourism in India and in other industries? Because policies of government change from time to time, which is not good for any business. You have famous gurdwaras in Punjab. Many people come here, but I think that most of them go to the Golden Temple. They don't go to other places. So I think you have to encourage people to go to your other places where important temples. There is a very good museum, I believe, and I have not been there. I plan to go to a museum. I think more museums should be built. Punjab has a long history. Many battles have been fought in Punjab for centuries. why don't we have a war museum here, which will attract people from all over the world?
Yeah.
The question of pollution and women's safety was discussed by Mr. Roy and by others. Today, I traveled around the world, and the first question they asked me, why is it not safe for women in India? The second question is, why is Delhi the most polluted city in the world? This question has been discussed today by several people. We have to solve this problem, both these problems. They're very serious. They don't do this country or this state any good, and it spoils the image of the people of this country. The other thing often forgotten is about Punjab is Seva. Seva is our heritage. Most people would not believe it, but I've eaten in langas many times. You get good food, you get good service, and people are friendly. I think the friendliest people in India are Punjabis. They're outgoing, they're sincere. And the other thing I would like to mention is women's employment. We as a company I've said to our HR people that we must employ at least 40% of our workforce. We have now reached 30%. And we will employ a lot of people in management from this country. Many of you know about our school, OCLD. We come here to recruit people, and I'm very happy to say that we get a lot of ladies and gentlemen coming for interviews, and we recruit a lot of people from Punjab. One other thing which does not concern Punjab, tourism, is why don't we have IT should be an industry that should be really given preference to in Punjab. Information technology employs people who are clever, and is very lucrative. I think that something has to be done to encourage more information technology here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you've spoken about very passionately about how do we increase employment, how do we create this tourism infrastructure, which will, but I would like to really come from a takeaway of one very important point from what you said and come to some of our panelists, is this entire spirit of enterprise that is so strong in Punjab, and we've talked about it several times, and taking it away from there, it's just not people who are job seekers, but how we can create this community of job givers in Punjab. And I'm really talking about startups, which has got a huge, huge future in Punjab itself, and not just the IT startups. When we talk about startups, there is always this tendency to think the startups could be only IT, but there could be non-IT rural startups, which are very, very critical. So there are two of you, who I know, Mr. Sunil Munjal, Mr. Rakesh Bharti Mittal, who have this this passion for startups in the country, both from the IT side, if I can say, and the non-IT side. And I'd like you all to throw some light on what's happening, and what do you think is happening or can happen in Punjab. And one of the big lifelines of, again, startups is financing, and I'll there bring Mr. Uday Kotak in to see how the startup culture could be enhanced by a very strong financing culture in the state.
So CB, thank you for raising this, because in a conference like this, while it's important for us to both recognize and appreciate what a great job is being done here, I think it would be unfair for us not to talk about what next. What else needs to happen to take the next leap forward? And I think this is an important one, is how do you create hundreds of thousands of new enterprises? I think that is most critical for a state like this, which needs to constantly keep growing. and you touched on a very important part of that, which is startups, and startups are required, and you can list down the areas that are necessary. There are 3 or 4 things which are necessary to allow startups to be successful as well. First is to encourage clusters to get created. We do have some natural clusters, but it will be smart for us not to do them deliberately by design. We also know there is a shift taking place due to technology. Almost everything that we do today will be done differently 20 years out. So it would be smart to start preparing ourselves for now. And therefore, education, skills, and vocations will become very, very important. Since we're sitting at the ISB campus right now, I think it's important for us to focus on the kind of education that we provide here. And the startups, you're right, can be in many, many different areas, whether it's in these very areas, in healthcare, in education, in Agri Plus, because while we have a wonderful record of output, but our value add record is actually not so great. So to look at value add, whether it's in handling, post-harvest, processing, food processing, milk processing, the opportunity is enormous right now for us. But how do you do it more efficiently, more effectively, using ideas, knowledge, and technology and process together, I think is going to be the key to make them successful. And I'll leave Uday to talk about risk capital, which has been in short supply, even though India has now become the 3rd largest startup nation in the world. But we need to also recognize that failure must be accepted. Culturally, this is a big challenge in India, especially in parts of India, where we look down upon failure, which actually is the best teacher. And in the culture, we want to encourage startups. That is an inherent part of the entire system, that some will fail. Actually, many will fail. If they can get up and start again, they've not quite failed then. And I think that's what we need to encourage. If all of us begin to recognize, and I've mentioned this earlier, if you're in California, and I'm sure Uday can confirm to you, if you go as a first-time startup looking for funding, you might have a difficulty. But if you had 2 or 3 failures, you're guaranteed to get funding. And that's because they recognize that once you fail, you're expected to have learned something. Not just what to do, but also what not to do. And I think this is a unique opportunity for us here in Punjab to become a massive hub for startups, whether it's to look at new technologies coming in the automotives, to look at logistics, to look at storage, to look at new kinds of manufacturing 4.0. Each one of them has room for a series of value-add startups which will help, and not just the startups, but also the larger enterprises themselves. There is a real opportunity here for us today.
Absolutely, and I think this the very important point on celebrating failures rather than not just celebrating success is very important. I'd like to come to you to talk about the rural and the agri startups possible, especially the grampreneurs probably.
So Chandraji, let me quickly talk about, there are a few agriculture startups which have started in the from the state of Punjab only, on shared mechanization centers which have come up. But going back to what Sunil just mentioned, ultimately it is education and skilling which is going to turn the tide for Punjab and actually for the entire country. And for us at Bharti, this has been, if I may say, a religion which we have been pursuing with great passion, and more importantly, reaching to the last child standing in the rural hinterland. Out of the 192 schools which we run, Satya Bharti schools, 92 are being run in Punjab. And I can tell you the amount of ideation and ideas which I go and hear from those rural kids are no different than when I go and interact with urban kids in universities, in schools, anywhere in the country. And I think this is the least known probably part of what we do in Punjab. Bharti Foundation has spent over 300 crores in the last 10 years on education and sanitation, which is free of cost, being provided to the rural children. And this opportunity is being provided, probably they would have never ever gone to school. And what gives us satisfaction is when they talk about pursuing higher education, not a dropout at class 8. Therefore, I think education and skilling both. The Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan has a program where all government K-12 schools should have vocational training centers for providing skilling in class 9, 10 and 11 and 12, 2 modules. Punjab has, I think, about 3,000 plus K-12 schools, and only a few hundred have been covered. My actually, the earnest request to the Honorable Chief Minister would be, take this in a mission mode in the next 12 months, have vocational training centers in all your K-12 schools, which are being funded by the center 75%, and the private sector comes and runs those schools. This will make a difference in the kids, in the youth of Punjab, who will be employable, who will be job givers and just not job seekers, but more importantly, also come out with ideas on how we can look at startups in education, in healthcare services, and how can we move forward on the service industry as a whole.
Right, and I think skilling itself could be a huge enterprise by itself. And I think today Punjab is waiting for that enterprise to really flourish. Uday, everybody turning to you, how do we make it happen? Where is the capital going to come from?
Chandrajit, if you look at history of Indian enterprise, the more traditional model was that if you needed capital, most entrepreneurs start with very little capital. Therefore, you go to a bank for a loan. And historically in India, banks have been quasi-venture capitalists, that they've provided loans when in fact there was not enough capital backing that loan, but they've taken the risks in the past. I think banking has changed and is undergoing a significant change because the massive pain which we are seeing in the last few years, as a result of which the quasi-capital which used to come from banks is no longer going to be easily available. Banks will want to see capital on the balance sheet, some sort of risk ability of the entrepreneur before they write a loan, because a loan is a loan, it's not equity. With this change, I think one of the things India really needs to build domestic savings is a venture capital industry and out of domestic savings, and it requires a very major policy push at the national level and even at the state levels. How do you provide risk capital for entrepreneurs to be able to start a business? Based on that risk capital, banks can fund so that there is some risk capital taking the primary risk. And a venture capital industry, I believe, and CII should seriously think about it, is get direct tax incentives and benefits and encouragement from the government and support Indian savers to put money into venture capital funds. Most Indian savers today are risk averse. They put money in bank deposits, a lot of it is now in debt funds, and maybe some of them in insurance policies. But very little of that is actually going into risk capital. Therefore, we must pay a premium or give a significant push to venture capital industry at every stage. But there is another aspect of venture capital or third-party risk capital. Entrepreneurs need much better levels of governance than what they have, because it's third parties taking a risk on an entrepreneur. Therefore, entrepreneurs then must be backed, as was told, by professional expertise to be able to handle the money in a prudent and professional manner. I think the creators of the future need to be entrepreneurs, but also need to combine it with professional entrepreneurship, and that's the direction we need to go.
Right. I think we are really running completely out of time, but I'd like to really go a rapid fire round to each one of you in closing remarks. And I'll start with you, Suchita, to just talk about one of the things which came out of the discussion here was the need and of skilling, and skilling and education just not being a responsibility of the state, but also the responsibility of the entrepreneur, because you are today seeking people with that, the pipeline of people that you need have to be having that capacity. So what are companies like yours doing in terms of skilling the people of the state? What are you doing, especially on the women's side? Is there a big agenda for a company like yours, especially in Punjab?
Yeah, so we at Vardhman, right from the beginning, have always believed in skilling, training, development. And in very initial years, we set up the Vardhman Training and Development Center in Ludhiana, where we talk about skilling and training the officers, staff, managers, and then there is the other training which happens in the factory setting. So we have two different setups. We originally believed that intrinsically there is a good person who comes to you. There is a good inputs which he carries, but we need to develop and work to adapt him to your culture, to give him those good values, work culture, hard work, commitment. So at Vardhman, we continuously keep on giving inputs, developing, training, on the job not only, but classroom training. We send them to outside visits, to factories, to visit outside. We also send them for competitions. And I'm very happy to share with you that some of our teams in the quality circle and TPM, TQM have gone to Japan and actually come back with gold medals and gold trophies, having competing with international teams there. And this is a team of women workers in one of the states who went there and who spoke in English, who actually competed with 400 teams there in the quality circle and came back with a gold trophy. And these are women who actually were only 8th and 10th class and they did not know how to talk in English. So you can understand from this example how the cultural change at Vardhman is happening, where we intrinsically believe that we want to improve and grow the person both in the office space and on the factory space. And with this belief, we continuously invest not only in training workers, but even we send our team members to international programs, whether it is IMD, INSEAD, London Business School, and we also have a lot of other schools who come and do development and training programs within our company. So this is how we believe that we will continuously go on developing and improving the manpower in our company.
Prakash ji, next time when you come to invest in Punjab, what would you say? How much, which are the areas which would have attracted you in Punjab to have increased your footprint here?
Well, you know, we have been already.
It was what?
Thank you. You see, we have been already focusing on various projects over here. Number one is to create jobs for the new generation who are unemployed over here, which is our top priority. We are lending money to the skilled people in the farmers around the talent to the people who are in the need of money, and they need to have investments, and they have a talent where they go to the banks, they don't get the money. So we are already helping those people in the villages, and I've got the record that how many thousands they have invested, and they are expanding more in this matter. We are also having a leasing concept, which we are doing it for the people who want jobs, who can get the jobs, and they can able to get into the whole plan. Also, we are looking into the plan of agriculture and to see what are the exports. Like today, you have a lot of wheat and rice available, and you are not able to have placed or any way how to use it. The exports is the biggest thing state should develop on this, and we are working to see in the Middle East countries and in other areas where the rice and wheat can be exported into the market. Next area we are looking is the technology from Israel, where they could come to Punjab and try to see how they can improve the quality of their exports in fruits and vegetables and other areas so that the international market can be created into this areas. Transportation and the tourism, we are planning to see how we can get transportation going from Chandigarh to Golden Temple in Punjab, which today you don't have enough convenience or buses going in that area. So I've been talking about various projects, and we have a plan to invest in Punjab, and we are very much committed to this. So if you want to have more details about it, I can send you all my professionals who can give you all the information.
Thank you, Prakash ji. Thank you. Mr. Oberoi, a very quick comment from you on how can, about creating an ecosystem of training for the largest potential employer, the tourism sector, the hospitality sector.
Well, it's all a question of skilling and getting to know the industry. So we started our training program in 1967. Since then, we have trained approximately 100 people every year. These are executives. These are not run-of-the-mill people. We have three disciplines that for executives. One is general management, and if you go around India, you'll find that most of the people in the hospitality industry are from our school. The other discipline is the cuisine. Now, Punjab is known for its cuisine. You go anywhere in the world, and they call it Indian food. Actually, it's Punjabi food. But I don't think that, we have done enough to promote Punjabi food in the true sense of the word. And Bangladeshis, in London, Bangladeshis are running Indian restaurants. And the food is not so good. So, and the other is housekeeping. We have trained so many housekeeping ladies over the years. So you can imagine that at executive level, 100 people a year at least since 1967. So we've done our bit, and I'm glad to say that our trained people are now all over the world. You go to the United Kingdom, you go to the United States, and they're not only cooking, but they're in higher positions, very high positions in the industry. And we're very proud what we've done for the industry, both in India and abroad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any quick comments from Mr. Mittal, Mr. Kotak, Mr. Munjal?
Well, I can only say that, skilling and nurturing young talent is a way of life at Bharti. Not only that, as we speak, we are currently engaged on a research program on baby corn and corn, maize, with Cambridge University, Punjab Agriculture University, and Field Fresh Foods, where hundreds of farmers are being engaged into this program. But let me give you a different perspective. When I went back to my school kids and we were starting vocational training, they said, don't make us drivers, don't make us guards, don't make us electricians and plumbers. I said, what do you want? They said, telecom, retail, finance, beauty. Those are the courses we run in rural schools.
They all want to work with you.
No, exactly. But what I'm saying is the inspirations are way above. And in the end, I can only say I'm a Punjabi. My heart always beats for Punjab and Punjabiyat. We can only say we are fully committed, and any and everything which we can do for Punjab, we are always there. Thank you.
I'm here talking in the presence of the Japanese ambassador. A chairman of a Japanese bank met me a few weeks ago, and I asked him a question, that why do Japanese savers buy Japanese bonds at negative interest rates? That means if you put 100 yen in a Japanese bond, every year the Japanese government charges you 0.3% negative, which means you have to pay the Japanese government for having invested money in the Japanese bond. So I asked him, why do savers actually put money in these bonds? And the answer he gave is that in today's unpredictable world, return of capital is more important than return on capital. So, sir, there is so much money in the world. If you give stability, peace, sustainability, and predictability, the money is there. It's about how we create that environment. That is up to us.
So on the skills, CB, as you said, we've been doing this for a while. Pankaj is here. Hero Cycle has set up an outstanding vocational skills and technical training institution inside the plant. Rockman has set up a full institution where they train, it's not just for our own employees, it's for other young women, men and women who get trained, and they're getting 100% placement after that. We have a series of other institutions. Today we have one of our proposed partners here, the Birmingham City University entire senior team is here, sitting in the audience right now. We are proposing to set up what is called a STEAM house with them in Ludhiana, which is combining the teaching of science, technology, maths, along with the arts, which is the new global trend to look at how we can create leaders who are thinkers as well. So you use the left and right side of the brain together to address real life problems and look at a holistic view on how you address things. So we are doing this at every level. We have 30,000 kids studying in our schools right now, B.Ed college, M.Ed college, full university. And you know, the DMC, which is in Ludhiana, the Dayanand Medical College and Hospital, has become one of the largest teaching hospitals in the country. We are the number 1 non-metro rated hospital today across the country. And the medical college in Ludhiana itself. And Chief Minister, by the way, we have started a cancer hospital there 2 years ago, and it's started running completely packed already. The brief to the team was, when we start on day 1, it should be at least the best facility in the country. And it is. It's doing quite well right now, quite well meaning as a public service, because all of these are not for profit. They're not a business for us, but they're run as professionally as any of our businesses or companies. And I think you cannot do enough in that area. The multiplier that you get out of skills and education is immeasurable. So I think all of us in this, at least I see many of my friends sitting in the audience as well, in our own way, we're all doing what we can, but a little bit more always helps.
Great. The session title was Blueprint for Accelerating Growth, and I think we've got stellar ideas about how we can take Punjab, really leapfrog Punjab, and also got a great insight on what's been happening in the state from some of the ambassadors from the industry, if I may say so. It has been a great session. Thank you to all the panelists for really making this to be very, very conversational. Thank you, Honorable Chief Minister, for patiently listening to the industrialists. This is a great, great signal of encouragement, and that really boosts the morale of industry coming to your state and working here with the type of time that you have given, the quality time that you have given by being present and listening to each one of them. Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Minister. Thanks to the officials and the ministers, and thanks to this very bright and strong audience. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.